Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Dr. Sanjeev Pandey, an associate professor in botany. My specialization is microbiology, and I have been teaching microbiology since a couple of decades. I have my own research laboratory also about microbiology in Banwari Lal Balocchia College, Asansol, which is situated in West Bengal, India. Today we will be talking about COVID-19, SARS-CoV-2 virus. This virus is, as you know, is playing havoc all over the world and also in India. It seems to stay a little longer, and we need to understand a little better about this virus to manage this virus. Now, a lot of questions are hovering in everybody's mind. What are viruses? What is COVID-19 virus is about? Where from it came? What is the life cycle of this virus and how the disease develops? How does it spread? How can we get rid of it, and are there any remedies? These are the questions. Let us answer these questions one by one to understand the virus, this particular virus. So first of all, what are viruses? This is for general public as well as for my students. Viruses are obligate parasites, means they cannot survive without a host cell. Outside the host cell, they're just like a non-living object. According to me, viruses are supramolecular structures made of RNA, DNA, proteins, lipids, etc. But they are not a complete cell. They are in a stage when the cells were being made for the first time on this globe, during the origin of first cell. They failed to acquire sufficient number of genes and proteins to become a cell. That means they existed before any life existed on this planet. And they are the starting molecules of life on this planet. Outside the cell, viruses are like inanimate objects, but when they enter their respective hosts, they are very much alive. What is this COVID-19 is about? COVID-19 stands for Coronavirus Disease 2019. This name was given by WHO for general public. Its actual name is SARS-CoV-2, which stands for Severe Acute Respiratory Syndrome Coronavirus 2. Coronavirus is so named because it contains crown-like spike proteins on its surface. When you see under the electron microscope, it looks like a crown. SARS-CoV-2 are about 120 nanometer in diameter, and they contain a single-stranded plus strand RNA genome within them. These viruses are enveloped viruses, and they have spike proteins on their surfaces. Among the spike protein, this S glycoprotein is very significant because with the help of this, the virus launches on the alveolar cells and it enters into the cell with the help of the receptor S2 and completes its life cycle. Where from this virus originated? COVID-19 originated in Wuhan city of Hubei province of China in December 2019. And it claimed hundreds of thousands of lives in China, and it is now having a worldwide distribution, a condition called pandemic. When I'm recording this video, more than 25 lakh people are already infected worldwide, and 1.77 lakh people have already died, more than that. The virus is playing havoc all over the world, and people are not able to contain it yet. And it seems that we have to live with this virus a little longer, and so we need to understand this virus a little better. About this virus, it is being said that it originated from a bat species. From a particular bat where this coronavirus resides within this bat. It germinates within this bat. From the bat, it transmitted to a secondary host, intermediate host. It may be snakes or pangolins, as the scientists are guessing. Before this SARS-CoV-2, there had been two events of SARS or coronavirus attack in recent period. In 2002, SARS-CoV-1 attacked, and the intermediate hosts were palm civet cats and raccoon dogs. MERS attack, Middle East Respiratory Syndrome virus, is also a coronavirus. 50% of the genome sequence is matching with SARS-CoV-2 of this MERS virus. The intermediate host of MERS virus, it occurred in Arabian Peninsula, is the dromedary camels through which it reached to the human population. About this virus, it is being said that pangolins could be the most probable intermediate hosts. Now coming to the life cycle of SARS-CoV-2. So we get the SARS virus from bat species via certain intermediate host like pangolin. The virus enters in our body. The portal of entry is respiratory tract, and it infects our lungs and causes respiratory trouble. The virus can be infected through an infected host. It can be transmitted to a new host by contact, droplets, and fomites. The new host, within the host, the incubation period may be 2 to 14 days, and then the symptoms might develop or the patient remain asymptomatic. In both the cases, the patient is a potent carrier of the disease and can transmit it to other human beings. Now, coming to the disease life cycle of the virus, our lungs is lined with the cavities or sacs-like structures called alveoli. These alveoli are the places where gaseous exchange occurs from the blood vessels lying beneath it. When the virus enters into the alveoli, it gets a target cell, the alveolar cell. It enters into the alveolar cell via a receptor called ACE2 receptor. The viral glycoprotein S binds with the ACE2 receptor and the virus is endocytosed, or it may enter by fusing with the cell membrane. After entry, the virus releases its plus-strand single-stranded RNA into the cytosol, where protein synthesis occurs with the help of the ribosome of the host cell. The first protein that is being synthesized is the RNA-dependent RNA polymerase. This enzyme is required to make copies of RNAs. From plus-strand RNA, first a minus-strand RNA copy is made, and from that again plus-strand RNA genomes are made. And several other mRNAs are also transcribed. Those are used for the synthesis of proteins required for the complete protein to be synthesized. Protein synthesis occurs in rough endoplasmic reticulum, and its processing occurs through rough endoplasmic reticulum to Golgi bodies. And after the assembly of complete viruses, the progeny viruses are released with the help of secretory vesicles into the cavity of the alveolus. Some of the common symptoms during this period are fever, dry cough, fatigue, shortness of breath, etc. Disease development. Some points to remember about the disease development are: not all people exposed to SARS-CoV-2 are infected, and not all infected patients develop severe respiratory illness. So panic should not be spread. However, if the patient develops the disease, there are 3 stages. Stage 1 is the incubation period, when the virus is undetectable. Stage 2 is non-serious but symptomatic, and at this stage the virus is detectable. Stage 3 is the severe respiratory symptomatic stage, when the virus titer is very, very high. Immune response against the virus occurs in 2 phases. Phase 1, it includes the first 2 stages of the disease development. During this phase, our adaptive immunity may eliminate the virus and the disease does not progress to the 3rd stage. Strategies to boost our immunity may be greatly helpful in this stage. Phase 2, when the protective immunity fails, the virus enters into the massive destruction in the lungs. The damaged cells induce innate inflammation, leading to acute respiratory distress syndrome called ARDS, which is the major cause of mortality. Now let us see the pathogenesis of the disease development. So the viral progenies are produced from the damaged alveolar cells into the cavity of the alveolus. The damaged alveolar cells release interferons, cytokines, and DAMPs. Interferons are protective molecules, but the DAMPs, they trigger the alveolar macrophages to release inflammatory cytokines like tumor necrosis factor alpha, interleukin 1, interleukin 6, interleukin 8, etc. These inflammatory molecules, among which the tumor necrosis factor alpha and IL-1, interleukin 1, are released into the nearby blood vessels where they cause vasodilation. The permeability of vascular system increases, and cells like neutrophils and monocytes are recruited at the site of injury. These cells start releasing cytokines, and storm of cytokine is released by the cells, which causes consecutive respiratory trouble. The nervous system, the nerve endings that are present beside the lungs, they can sense the inflammatory response, and a dry cough symptom is sensed at this stage. The permeability of the vascular system releases fluids from the blood into the interstitial tissue where it causes interstitial edema. Interstitial edema. The tumor necrosis factor and interleukin 1, they induce an enzyme called HAS2, hyaluronic acid synthase 2. This enzyme is responsible for the synthesis of hyaluronic acid. This hyaluronic acid or hyaluronan are the molecules which can absorb water 1,000 times their molecular weight, and they form jelly-like substance inside the cavity of the alveolus, choking the gaseous exchange. Further, the watery fluid enters into the cavity of the alveoli, causing pulmonary edema. They cover the lining of the alveolus cavity, and because of which gaseous exchange is hampered. This is called dyspnea. Further, the neutrophils, which at the initial stage were phagocytotic, now start releasing toxic chemicals that cause further damage to the alveolar cells as well as the neighboring cells. The alveolar cells release leukotrienes, which are the stimulatory compounds that causes bronchoconstriction, leading to further hindrance in ventilation. This leads to what is called hypoxia, that is low oxygen level in the blood. This is the severe situation. The patient facing this situation have to be admitted to intensive care unit. They often require mechanical ventilators, and those unable to breathe have to be connected to extracorporeal membrane oxygenation (ECMO) to support life. This situation is referred to as acute respiratory distress syndrome, ARDS, and this is the major cause of death in COVID-19. Some of the acute respiratory symptoms are rapid breathing, cyanosis, and multi-organ dysfunction, leading to death. What we can do to get rid of this virus? At present, we can do only one thing. We can flatten the curve. What does that mean? It means that the curve, if the curve is very, very high, if the peak is high, that means the number of cases per day is very, very high. That means the hospitals are crowded with patients and everybody is not getting proper care. And because of which the mortality rate will be high. Flattening the curve means at a particular time the number of cases would be less. So the less number of patients will be admitted to hospitals and proper care could be taken. So how can we do that? We can do that by staying at home, staying away from getting contaminated. That's the only clue. What are the treatment strategies or remedies right now being practiced all through the world? The first strategy could be to inhibit the protease activity of this receptor, which is a furin protease. In Japan, some of the scientists have used nafamostat mesylate to inhibit this function. If you inhibit the protease activity of TMPRSS2, then the entry of the virus is hindered because it cleaves the glycoprotein S while when the virus is entering into the cell, into the alveolar cell. If that step is inhibited, the viral growth will be inhibited. The next strategy is to inhibit the RNA-dependent RNA polymerase, which is exclusively required for the virus. There are certain drugs like remdesivir, which are RRDP inhibitors, and they are also being used in certain places. Other sites could be the hyaluronidase synthase 2 enzyme. Inhibitors can be useful to decrease the formation of jelly-like substance in the alveolar cavity. Medical grade hyaluronidase enzyme can be useful, and also the 4-methylambilliferone is known to inhibit this HAS2 enzyme. And this has been, in fact, practiced in China in some paper. I could see that Pilsidani radix, it is obtained from, it is a herbal drug, Pilsidani radix, that produces quite a good amount of 4-methylambilliferone. When I searched for Indian plants, Acacia nilotica, that is the oil plant, was found to contain quite a good amount of 4-methylambilliferone. So that can be a supportive drug for treatment. When the disease, some of the treatment strategies that could be adopted for COVID-19 treatment could be like this. At the initial stage, when the patient is in the stage 1 and stage 2 of the disease development, then immune boosting therapy can be done by administering interferon alpha and by anti-steroid therapy, or plasma therapy. This is being this has been considered in different countries. In Britain also, in our country, in West Bengal, this has been started. The process is like this: the antisera or plasma from the blood of the convalescent patients which have cured after the COVID-19 infection, has to be taken, and because that plasma contains the antisera for the virus, the antibodies against the virus, and if that is delivered into a patient who is not responding, whose immune system is not properly responding to the virus, it could be a kind of a passive immunity. It can give a support to the patient, and by the time the patient can recover, and its own immunity might get effective. That is called plasma therapy. When you don't have any vaccine or any proper treatment, then this plasma therapy is the only option you have left. There are other supportive drugs that could be administered when the disease progresses further, are like this. You can give hyaluronidase, medical grade hyaluronidase, that reduces the concentration of hyaluronic acid. Or you can also administer with that 4-methyl-amylipherol, which is also responsible for inhibition of the Has2 enzyme, which is responsible for hyaluronic acid synthesis. And the other is the activated MSCs, that are the mesenchymal stem cells that you can deliver. These are the stem cells which can protect, which decrease the level of IL-6, one of the potent chemokine or cytokine which triggers disorders in the liver. You can also administer vitamin B3. Vitamin B3. It also reduces the inflammatory response of cytokines like tumor necrosis factor alpha, IL-6, IL-8, IL-1, etc. So by decreasing the inflammatory response to some extent, and by removing the hyaluronic acid that is being formed, to some extent, the patient can be given relief, and the excessive inflammatory response can be reduced a little bit, and the acute symptoms can be reduced, from where the patient can come out and gradually recover. The ventilation support can help the patient to come out of the symptoms, and there is a chance, if some of these drugs work, then the patient can get out of the disease. That's all about the COVID-19 vector in this video lecture. I think you would like it, and because I tried to describe as much as possible. It was a little bit long video, but I think many people wanted to know what kind of how the disease progresses, how it enters into the cell, how it replicates, how it contaminates healthy persons. So everything has been discussed in the video lecture. Hope you like it. Thank you very much.